How's it going, man?
Yeah, there you go.
Around that. I was gonna ask you, are you, would you give me permission from Hayes to mention that?
Info thing?
Yeah, the,
Oh, yeah.
initially, that's okay to mention it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling Caesar about that the other day. So. Yeah, very quick.
Yeah, it's really, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's, how many years have you been doing, thanks, sir, question. How many years have you been doing the realty gig?
I've been licensed for 7.
Yeah. And so you've probably seen the realtor that produces, gets the $80,000 truck. The first time the market slows down, that's that, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
No, you was telling me, I was like, that's.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in it, you know what I mean? Especially the fact that it's free.
I, actually, somebody that was asking me to build an app for that, because I'm a software engineer.
Oh, awesome.
I really gotta go, but.
Yeah.
You should build this app that just takes your check and, I'm like, pretty sure that, especially with AI, but I need to connect him with you because this is exactly what Jake told me, is exactly what he needs.
That's cool. Yeah. Well,
Otherwise, I spend all my money on hunting and all my.
for real. I mean, it's like me and eating.
Jeez.
I don't know if,
I love money. I mean, I do go well with money, but at the same time, I'm horrible with money. I really got to get going.
yeah, you're good, buddy. Have a great day. Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay, say something. You did.
Yeah. Yep. How's it going? I'm hanging in there. What's your name?
Steve.
Steve, I'm Kent. It's nice to meet you. How long you been doing the real estate gig? Woo. Yeah. Love, hate, probably, right?
Yeah. Just like the restaurant on my left.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of folks that do very well, and you know what I mean? It's just, it's a grind, I guess, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially coming out of what we've had the last couple of years.
Yes.
So,
It's interesting. So hi, how's it going? Not yet. Well, I'm here.
You're talking realtor time. We still got like 4 minutes.
And then there's us, we stress out, oh, we're gonna be late.
Yeah, but you guys are like me. You guys come from a lot further than I even do.
Yeah, well, I had both girls last night, and I've got Jake and Caitlin's dogs, because they're on vacation. And so I'm rushing around, and I'm like, okay, and poor Abby, she's used to it, she put my dog in the kennel almost every day, I'm like, no. Poor dog, different schedule.
And I can see
her.
it, yeah, but I feel like he's listening and he's
I forget what I was going to tell you. What were we just talking about?
Being in the
2 or 3
real
people.
estate.
The grind. Yeah, I suspect it's a lot of evenings and weekends, and you know what I mean? I know anytime I've bought or sold, it's been showings, and I actually was a pretty good real estate client. I went with a realtor when moving from Green Valley, lived in Independence for 5-6 years, and we saw one house, and I said, if they'll take this for it, this is what I need. If they'll, just done, like world's best real estate client, right? One showing and close it up,
That's the second best.
What's
That's
the
what
best?
I went to an open house over the weekend. Can you write this up for me?
Heck yeah, there you go. That's funny.
Those make me nervous because I'm like, I haven't seen it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
How sure are you? Because I haven't set eyes on it. That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah. How many showings do you think you do on average before you end up making an offer, right? What do you think? Like an average? Because I know there's some that are, yeah.
Yeah, some of them 20, some of them 50.
I mean, there's got to be a point where the client gets tired of it,
Yeah.
right?
It's kind of,
Maybe in a day.
I usually limit them to like
Mhm.
three to four.
Three's
unless
plenty,
they're, like,
right?
Really close together.
Running on Friday and I'm like, I think I'll be doing it on 4.
Yeah, if we do 7 of
I-
them, we
I-
need to narrow down what we're looking at.
I have to put all the good stuff in one house, yeah. I maxed 5
Yeah, that was it.
the other day.
Yeah, there's some of them, like, if we're out there looking and like you go in and like, nope, instantly or whatever, like I'll do more, but like when we're booking, I'm like, let's do 3, like maybe 4. And I'm like, well, if we're looking at 10 of them, we don't know what we're looking for, kind of deal.
I started with one kid where, we were in Harris Mill looking at something. We were walking around and there's only one other house in Harris Mill in that price range with the 3-bedroom. Okay, we're gonna run over here. Check this out.
Yeah.
So you like throw it on.
Oh, yeah.
If you were in Harris Mill, there's only 2 that fit. Let's go split.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that a lot when I'm out there trying to, okay, let's see, this one's what, do we go look at it? 'Cause first we looked at sucks, so.
Make an auto burn like that.
Yeah.
That's
And then I
awesome.
roll in there unprepared. Oh, how's the roof?
Uh,
I do at this point.
yeah.
Usually I review all the info, but. It's all
Good
about
morning.
the decision making.
Yeah.
That was live action.
Yeah. I always look it up, cause if not, I get them mixed up. I'm like 6 years, I'm like, oh wait, that was the last house, this one's 8. Oh, so. But there's 2 other people that were said that they were coming that run a little behind.
Yeah, it's
So
no
10:05
stress.
is like realtor.
It's realtor time, yeah. Well, while we're waiting here, could I get everybody's first name and, I don't know, how long you've been in the real estate game and, I don't know, something interesting, right? Something fun, I don't know. So I know Jake.
I'm Jake. Been licensed for 5 years. Know anything interesting? Oh, I have 2 cup stacking state records. So
I might leave that out.
that's the kind of, no, that's how I said that to my wife when we were dating. I said, hey, just to let you know.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll bring my stacks sometimes. I still have my stack mat.
My kids have that stuff. Yeah, they did that. They loved it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My name's Trish. I got my license in 1989 in Virginia first.
Yeah.
I had my license in Florida just recently. And now, yeah.
That's awesome.
And thank you. And the thing that I loved when I bought my first foreclosure when I was 19.
Yeah,
So I thought, wow, if I can do this ignorant with no experience, then I need to get educated and help people. I was a military wife, and
Yeah.
as you know, all the interest is front loaded on these mortgage loans. And so if you get transferred 3 years later, you're upside down in the house.
mm-hmm,
So when I started the real estate business, HUD and VA were still doing their own financing.
okay,
So when I did my, so basically the house could have labels on it, be vacant for a year and a half, but till it came on the list, you couldn't show it and you couldn't bid on it. So you would wait and you'd call the hotline number to find out if your bid won. And it would look something like 8271956 more, and then you would know that you won the bid. It was
that
like-
sounds
it was
real
crazy.
efficient, right?
So when I did it, it was obviously net, so I was like, okay, I need your last year's tax returns, 3 bank statements, and your W-2s, and I would send all that with an irregular number. So when I did my bids, it was always like $836.46. It was what? So no matter what, if they were side by side equal, I would still win. You know what I mean? But then on top of it, I would always send like the mortgage documents so that they would know, oh, I should take this one. I already know what their credit looks like.
That's cool.
So
I'm gonna pass this around, just a sign-in sheet, just give me your name on it and phone number, don't worry about any of the rest of it. And if you don't want to call for me, just don't fill out the number, it's all good. Yes, ma'am.
I have a license on and off for 12 years. Well, like 12 years total.
Yeah.
It's a break.
Yeah, and something cool, something interesting. Cup stacking champion, or,
Probably not that cool.
not that. That's about the coolest thing.
That's, you did it. Heard
Good.
of
Good on you,
many.
Jake.
Uh,
No, I'm just teasing. Got the title, Jake.
I can pull up my video.
Oh, let me put my picture, video, just this morning.
sir.
I'm Steve. I've been around the real estate world for 20 years. Been licensed in Missouri for 3.
Yeah.
Working as a suburban driven.
Mhm. And it's something cool.
I coach semi-pro football for the last 10 years.
Shut up. That's awesome. Good deal. Hi.
I'm Becky, I got my license originally in 2001. Anything cool?
Hobbies, anything like that?
No, taking care of property, I've got 50 acres and animals and
That's
That's
if I'm not here, that's what I'm doing.
50 acres and animals. That's plenty interesting to me. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's like coffee and silence.
Because I have 3 kids, I love coffee and silence, right? Yes, definitely. And then, sir?
I probably lived in Hawaii for a couple years.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Somehow,
Can you move
work
to
ethic
Missouri?
in every conversation, and I'm aware of it, so I apologize.
That's the only fun thing I have about me, other than I mow yards, or mow my yard and weed eat.
Why did you learn how to do the tree?
Well, it's like,
No. Oh, she's
She's
like, that's enough.
She cut herself on the gate, y'all, the gate.
There's some chaps.
Okay, well,
It's like-
there's a tree down on the fence, and I have horses and goats and.
You gotta get it done.
Yeah, but they also haven't done that yet. But I also live on a highway, so.
Oh, yes.
Fortunately, the trees on the fence are not back.
so how do you know if somebody's a financial advisor? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Right. They'll tell you, yeah. Or a pilot or, yeah. So my name is Kent and I work for Edward Jones as a financial advisor. I told you, I'd tell you, And interesting thing about me, I am actually, it's kind of funny to say it, I am a Hall of Famer of a drum and bugle corps, the Colts Drum and Bugle Corps, which is the juice isn't worth the squeeze explaining what it is, but it's basically like the NFL of marching music kind of thing. And I was with the Corps in Iowa. I would tour. You can't do it after you turn 23, so I did it for 4 years. You tour all summer, 22,000 miles, perform for about 250,000 people live over the course of the summer. It's pretty fun, So that's a fun thing about me. So Jake sent out a message about this session, and he said, or a post, and he said, imagine this, you're 80 years old and your retirement savings have run dry. What now? Do you depend on the government, rely on your family, go back to work if you even can? Remember, retirement should be a time of freedom, not fear. Blah, 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 blah. So this is entirely no pressure, right? Obviously I'm a financial advisor, so getting to work with folks is, I'm looking for clients just like you are, right? However, this is just an education session, okay? If you get to the point that your finances have run out, there's not much anybody can do for you, right? There's only so much that can be done at that point. None of it's very fun and none of it leads to a life that most people would enjoy, okay? So the time to get your future figured out is like right now. The only, day that would be better would be yesterday, right? You just want to make sure you've got your plan set up. So I'm going to go over a couple of things for you guys, but I've got making your money last in retirement and some considerations and actually some formulas, really easy formulas, but ratios that will help you understand if you're close, okay? But before I dig into that, you guys have already had some sessions, and I'm assuming it's different people every time sort of thing, more or less, or
Mostly the same.
mostly the same. So the first thing I guess I want to ask is, what do you want to know, right? what have you been wondering about? You've got me, I'm here, and, you know, I'll tell you anything I know, you know, so have questions come up about the retirement vehicles, Roths and traditional IRAs? Have questions come up about, huh? Have questions come up about the different types of accounts? Have questions come up about, hi, Howard, what's your first name? Raylan? Awesome. And we all shared something fun or interesting about ourselves and how long we've been, like, you know, in the business or whatever. Could you do that for me?
Um,
Yeah.
Fun about myself. Oh,
Cup stacking champion. 50 acres and animals. You know?
yeah.
Well, that's so funny you said that.
16.
Since you had income, right? Yeah.
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 Yeah, her,
You and I are going to be homies. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to be good.
he also has all left.
So I was just asking, you know, I do have things in place to talk about making money last in retirement. But before we get into that, I just want to ask, you know, is there anything you guys want to know specifically? You walked away from your last session going, man, I wonder about this, or I have this. Does that make sense with what I was told? Anything at all before I kind of jump into my prepared stuff?
So when you pay for IRAs, trying to do catch-up IRAs. You're behind and now you're an independent contractor, you're no longer with an employer.
Mhm.
As an independent contractor, how is it different? And can you change that ceiling where you can only put so much in?
So do you guys have LLCs for your, or do you just do 1099 just is what it is, right? Can you guys, are the individual realtors allowed to set up an LLC?
Yeah, some of the people have the LLCs.
Okay, so there's some really interesting things as self-employed people that you can do. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. You can, for instance, set up a solo 401k. You can, for instance, set up an SEP or a simple, hi, come on in.
Sorry.
You're okay, you're fine. No, you're welcome, come on in. You're fine. What's your first name, ma'am? Laura. And then Laura, we all kind of shared a little bit about ourselves. One of the things,
Really interesting thing about her, she loves public speaking.
perfect. No. For instance, I now know that he's a cup stacking champion, you know, I'm sorry, 2-time.
Brittany Trophy.
Got the video even.
Right. You did threaten us with the video. That was good. Yeah. Yeah. What, is there anything, how long you been in the business, and what, is there anything interesting about yourself that you don't mind sharing?
Life since third grade, I've been somehow involved in real estate.
Oh, so like 23, 24 years then. Yeah.
That's your Boy Scout.
And scouts, still, I have 6 Eagle Scouts. Very involved.
That's
All your Boy Scouts.
awesome.
Wow.
I consider all.
All the ones you raised.
That's cool.
Yes.
One of the coolest things I ever got was this little pin at an Eagle ceremony where it was like the mentor pin. Yeah, that was such a cool, it has blown away. This is a kid I former teacher, and this is a kid I taught at Blue Springs High School in the band program. So yeah, yeah. So we had, let me see here. Trish had a question about your IRA. You know, you're limited to $7,000 a year unless you're 50 or older, and you can put in 8, right? And it's because that's that catch-up provision, right? And it's a small amount of money in a lot of cases relative to income. And, you know, there's a sweet spot for saving, you know, of something like 15%. You know what I mean? It just depends on where you're at. But for most folks, that's a good, like, super rough starting point. Well, 8K for a lot of folks, that's not going to make a difference, right? So we were just talking about folks can set up a solo 401k, that kind of thing. And then sky's the limit, okay? Now it does cost something to set those up, right? But the government will allow you to save $70,000 a year towards retirement. Well, wait, that doesn't make any sense, because I know that you can only put for this year $23,500 into your 401k. Okay, That's how much you could put away in a year. I have a client who's a software engineer for Microsoft who he maxes that out. Then there's your match, right? And that match depends on how things are set up, whatever. You know, if you're running a solo 401k, it's kind of irrelevant, right? But his match, Microsoft matches 50% of every dollar he puts in there. He makes $11,750 in match. It's bonkers. Well, wait, Kent, that doesn't make, and by the way, my name's Kent Edward Jones, right? That doesn't make any sense. You said 70,000 and we're only up to like 34 or whatever it is, right? Okay, that difference right there is a really interesting thing. So, you know, you can only contribute to a Roth until you make, what is a single person? It's like 150K on your AGI, right? So he can't contribute to a Roth because he makes about 150K in salary and about 100,000 in restricted stock units, okay? Well, guess what? There is, like with many things, there's an exception always, right? He takes and he cashes out his restricted stock units and uses it as income. He maxes out his 401k, and then he's putting out an additional about 35 grand into a third bucket. Most people know in a 401k, you've got traditional contributions, pre-tax, right? Advantage to that is I didn't pay tax on it. And when I take distributions, if I'm not making very much money, I'll be in a much lower tax bracket, right? Roth contributions, I already paid tax on it, right? And even in your 401k, you can do some Roth contributions most of the time. Then the third bucket is this post-tax non-Roth contribution. Bonkers. The rest of that difference up to 70K, you can put away in post-tax non-Roth contributions. And then you set your 401k up correctly. We can go in and do an in-service transfer because that money's just sitting there. You paid taxes on it. It's not doing anything, okay? He's transferring about 34K a year into a Roth, and he can't contribute to a Roth, except that he can. It's ridiculous, right? Mind blown. There's a lot of ways where if you make money, you can make more money, right? And this is one of them. How many of you guys believe taxes are going, or what do you think? Are taxes going up, down, or staying the same over the next 10, 20, 30 years? What do you think? Give me a thermometer. Up? Okay. I've yet to meet anybody that was like, yeah, it's totally going down. You know what I mean? Nobody says that. And so for a lot of my clients, I want to make sure they've got a big pile of Roth money because it does not matter when they take distributions. They're not paying tax on the growth, and they've already paid tax on the principal, right? Big, big deal. So the answer to your question is there are ways, but it's really individual. It depends on your situation, the rules where you're working, you know what I mean? There's all kinds of things to consider. But that would be a good conversation for like a meeting with the financial advisors to look at it and go, let's crunch the numbers. Is it worth it? Probably is if you're a good producing realtor, you're probably in a spot where that third bucket, it's called a mega backdoor Roth contribution. God, I wish I could have named it something else because I say that 38 times a week and I feel like a weirdo. But the fact of the matter is, sorry, it's most of what you need to know about my personality just escaped. So, so that loophole, it really is a loophole. It's been open for decades. We don't know how long it will stay open. So he is plowing money into that as much as and as fast as he can, right? And it's all just dependent upon your setup. So there are ways. Another thing you can do is just do a taxable account. So, you know, there's tax advantages to the Roth or the traditional, but the other thing you can do is put money into I just own an account where I own stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, whatever. I can sell it whenever I want, right? I pay capital gains taxes on the increase. Capital gains is not as bad as income for most people. If you're doing capital gains, it's usually less than your marginal tax rate, okay? So for many folks, it's 10%. For some, it's 15%, right? It's much less in most cases. So that's another thing. And Jake has given me permission to mention this. Jake's a client of mine. And one of the things we were talking about is like 1031 exchanges, right? And the opportunity to buy properties. You guys have a sweet opportunity to do something for yourself that's a diversified way to retire with real estate, right? So, you know, instead of pouring money in, you know, we're still talking about it, but instead of necessarily pouring it into a Roth right away, maybe doing a taxable account. You can't access your money in a retirement account till you're 59 and a half, right? In terms of taking distributions without taking a bath, they give you a 10% penalty and you pay income tax on it, right? So having that money available and you see the perfect rental property, right? You see an opportunity, be able to say, dude, sell it. You know what I mean? I need this down payment. I need whatever. That makes sense. So it's all in an individual thing, but that taxable account is, while not a retirement account, you're still building value without having the limits of the IRA. That answer your question? Super long-winded, I guess, but did I get there eventually? Okay, cool. What else do you guys want to know? That's the most important thing today, is stuff that's actually on your mind. All right.
That income thing that you set me up with,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
So we're doing a thing, and I do this with other realtors. So have you met the realtor that gets started, they produce pretty well, everything's going okay. They show up with the $80,000, $100,000 truck in the parking lot. They, you know, are Armani and Gucci and all that. And then the first time the market gets a little slow, bye. They can't continue with the payments because those commissions don't work out, right? Okay. So one of the things I do for realtors, which I'm sort of shocked it's like as interesting to realtors as it is, I'm surprised that it hasn't sort of become a normal thing. And again, I got permission to talk about Jake's stuff generally speaking. What he's doing is he's putting his commissions into a select account at Edward Jones. A select at Jones is kind of like the Costco hot dog, like it's a little bit of a loss leader kind of thing, right? So if all you're doing is moving cash in and out, buying and selling money markets, buying and selling CDs, okay, there's no commission of any kind, okay, none. It doesn't cost you literally anything. There's no annual fee, nothing, okay? So he's putting commissions into there as they come in, and he's paying himself a salary. In his case, he's going to have, there's a number of different accounts that his stuff goes to. He's a very organized dude, you know, and so he's got, you know, this type of account, this type of account, this type of account. It's all automated. He's paying himself a salary from his commissions. So he's he made a budget, understands that he can make happen what he needs to happen on that the vast majority of the time, and popping money into that account, paying himself. Well, we've got a number that once that account, after, I think it's the second of the month in our case, that after the second of the month, if there's more than X dollars in that account, he's going to get a phone call, and that's going to be transitioned into a money market, okay, the overage, all right? The idea would be to have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. In financial planning, that's the thing we really talk about as a starting point, because it doesn't matter if you make, you know, this return on the market if you have to dump it every time you have to go to the vet. You know what I mean? So that will build up an emergency fund. Once that number has been reached, what that emergency fund is, then we have conversation about taxable accounts and what kind of vehicle would work best given the purpose of the money. Okay. Who knows what a money market fund is or knows anything about it? Yeah. Can you tell me anything about it?
Well, so to be clear, I work for a fire district that has a money market. We have it because we pay interest and we don't pay any fee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And anybody else want to add something to that? That's perfect though. It's also very safe and very liquid, right? It's not impossible to lose some premium or some principal on a money market, but it's exceedingly rare, okay? So they will, the money market that I use for my emergency fund is one that's backed by US Treasuries, okay? There's one that performs a little better. It's like 0.14% higher yield, right? And it always floats with the Fed fund rate, right? But the one that's just a little below the top performing one is backed by US Treasuries. If the top performing one has stopped redeeming shares a couple of times. So I don't do that one. It's my emergency money. I want it to be as safe as possible. So I'll take the 14 basis points, penalty. If the government stops redeeming treasury bills, we are hosed. There's no, you know what I mean? The numbers in our account on a computer are not going to matter. We're going to be shooting at each other over cans of beans and stuff. It's going to be bad. So it's the safest place that I can put that money, and it's liquid. So let's say we build up our emergency fund and we've got it maxed out and we've moved on to a taxable account or Roth or whatever. Okay. Something comes up. We don't face many emergencies in our life that require $10,000 in like the same day, unless you're, cooking meth or something like that. You know what I mean? That's something very illegal is happening, right? You go to the hospital, you're not going to bill for 6 weeks anyway. Your car needs to be fixed. It's probably not going to be done for 5 days anyway, right? This money market account has the perfect separation between you and your emergency fund. It's basically, you call me at, 10:29 and say, hey, I need $5,000. Okay, cool. I put in the trade. Stock exchange closes at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. As long as we get in before that, we will make it for the sale of that. Okay. It sells and it clears the next day, which just, you know all about that. The funds and the property exchange hands, right? And then it would be ACH'd to his account the next day. So 2 business days. I've seen 3, but it's always been because a bank made a mistake. You know what I mean? So 2 to 3 business days, you get that money in your account, ACH. All you have to do is make a phone call. But that phone call and 2 to maybe 3 business days is the perfect psychological barrier between you and emergency funds, because a big screen TV is not an emergency, right? Steve, right? Big screen's not an emergency. Okay, no, I'm just messing with you. So, yeah, right. I don't know, man. That sounds pretty important to me, right? Well, and we all get to decide what's important to us, right? But that emergency fund, there's a book called The Psychology of Money, which I recommend to anybody. Beautiful book. It's a little disjointed because it's like a series of vignettes, little stories sort of, but it's really, really good reading. Just having that little bit of psychological barrier to emergency funds really seems to help people. They tell me it helps them to leave it alone, right? So I call it commission manager. I mean, it's for anybody that makes commissions that are widely varied. 1 month making big bank and the next month you might make none, right? The idea is to develop a budget, pay yourself a salary, and make sure you're not getting mission creep where you're constantly spending more on these little things, and man, does it add up and it wrecks your retirement. Okay.
The return on that money market.
Right now, with everything going on, it's still 4.14%. You never get a money market from a bank because they're selling you a product that is their money market, right? You want to have one of the money markets that's traded on the stock exchange because you are getting the actual value of it and not using the bank as a middleman, right? As a broker dealer, I can get you access to any CD, any money market that is Jones approved. You know what I mean? There's some things that they don't approve. It's not, they don't like the way it looks. It's not good enough for our clients, right? But that's what you want if you're doing that. Is there's another friend that's a realtor who has a real estate business, right? Where they have their own property management business, right? And they have cash that floats in their accounts between rent and security deposit, and there's a third one as well. And they got like a $300,000 to $350,000 float, right? Huge. Taking that and putting it into a money market, keeping it safe, it can make 12 grand a year. It's bonkers, right? So there's lots of ways to do these things, but this commission manager, the whole idea is to help realtors live within their means given the nature of the beast. That's the idea. And anybody on commissions, big commissions, okay? So if that's something you want to talk about, everybody that's done it really likes it. It just puts them in control a little more, I guess. Like, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I don't miss too many meals. You know what I mean? I've never, unfortunately, met a cuisine I didn't like, I can't trust myself to go to the grocery store with a cart because the Oreos end up in there and the freaking snack cakes. And I can't trust myself with that, right? I'm a grown adult, right? You know what I mean? And I can't trust myself with that. Money is the same way for me, for most people. I can't trust myself with just, here's this big account, but I won't spend too much. You know what I mean? So it puts that little bit of psychological barrier in, which is pretty cool. What else you got? You guys have great questions. What else you want to know? What else has been on your mind? Okay. I can get into my plan stuff. That's okay. So, making your money last in retirement. There's two things that I want you to know as you're working through this. One of them is the reliance rate, and one of them is the withdrawal rate. And I'm going to give you some easy math for that. Okay. The reliance rate and the withdrawal rate. Okay. So for the withdrawal rate, all it is you take the current value of your account for retirement and you divide it by your estimated total withdrawals over the next 12 months, okay? Or your first 12 months in retirement or whatever. So there's recommended withdrawal rates that they do change based on risk tolerance. That's one of the first things we do, like with clients at Jones, is figure out like what their risk tolerance is. There's a certain amount of risk that if you don't take it, it's almost like, what are we doing, right? It's the same thing with real estate. You look at real estate values over the decades, right? It's going up. It's just going up, period, right? Were there dips in the road? Absolutely. I'm not worried about the dips if I've got time to make it through 2 or 3 more dips. You know, we have expansion and contraction of the economy, the basic sort of way our world works, right? Not worried about that. So even somebody that's pretty conservative, they come in with a little bit of fear about investing. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about what we're investing in. Normally, that's the issue. And then you show them, we have 15 years till we take with distributions. We have 20 years, 10 years, whatever. Well, I'm not worried about, you know, these economic cycles are what, 5, 7, 8 years. It just depends, right? Where it's, you know, expanding, contracting, interest rates and all that. So there's a certain amount of risk you want to take just because you have time. But then after that, things can be customized. So you want, in your early 60s, you want your withdrawal rate to be something like 3 to 3.5%. Okay? Because that's what you can reliably replace at that age with that time. Okay? As it goes up, late 60s, you may have 3.5 to 4%, and then it goes up from there. If you're in your 80s, 6 to 8%, go for it, you know? Okay? But we know that life expectancies are growing, and so you've got to plan for 20, 30 years in retirement. You know what I mean? It's the other thing about that withdrawal rate is if you'll want to adjust your withdrawal rate as you go based on market conditions, okay? There's a thing called sequence of returns where we don't want to take money from certain piles at certain times if the market's down. Right? We want to make sure we're just being as advantageous and tax advantageous as we possibly can, right? So that flexibility is important, and there's a real risk to a higher withdrawal rate if you, which I think everybody understands, kind of common sense, that if I take too much, I'm going to have less to take long term if I take too much early, right? Right. The next thing I want to go through is this reliance rate. Okay, reliance rate is a percentage of your retirement that's got to come out of your retirement account. For realtors, that's pretty high. Okay, you guys are paying into Social Security through your 1099s, right? You get your 40 quarters and you qualify for that benefit. I do not, this is a personal opinion, I do not think the politicians in our lives are going to touch the electrified third rail any harder than they have to. Okay, however, for younger folks in the room, I suspect there will eventually be some reduction in the benefit, or there will be an extension of the working years before full retirement age. I suspect that that is one of the ways they will kick the can down the road, but it's a pretty long road, and I don't think people freak that Social Security is going away, and we do have to keep politicians from putting their hands into that pile of money that has a specific purpose, right? At the same time, I just don't see it just going away. Nobody wants to be the party. you know, my four walls are apolitical. You know what I mean? I just observe and look at what's going on. None of them's going to want to be responsible for that. Okay. Something to think about for you guys, because you will probably rely on that a little. It'll be a little more important to you than somebody that's got a pension, right? Something like that. So at Reliance rate is percentage that's funded by your investment portfolio. So the math is just the amount from your portfolio divided by your total spending for your budget for retirement. Okay. So if you want to spend $50,000 in your first year in retirement, just using round numbers, then, and 20,000 of it comes from your retirement account, you got 20 divided by 50, 40%. Okay. A higher Reliance rate means you have greater sensitivity to market fluctuations. Okay. That's important for you to know because you will have a higher Reliance rate, probably. Okay. And if your Reliance rate exceeds 30%, you have to really watch your portfolio, and you have to make sure that you are being smart with your withdrawal strategies. Okay. If your Reliance rate is high above 60%, one of the things that comes into play might be an annuity. Okay. Annuity is like income insurance, right? Where there's lots of different kinds of annuities, but one is lump sum, where I'm putting in a big amount of money and then I'm going to get this guaranteed amount of money starting on this year till I die. As long as I don't take more than that out of the cash value of that, that's what I'll have. It's just like insurance, where it's a complete waste of money until all of a sudden it's super magical and saved your life. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So if we're working with clients, say that are older,
Mhm.
selling their house, moving to retirement
Mhm.
thing or whatever like that, is that the annuity kind of what you'd recommend?
That is part of it. I never want somebody to have more than about 30% of their nest egg in an annuity, because well, and if they pass away prematurely, you know what I mean, then there's kind of you put all your eggs in that one
Leave $100
basket.
grand and live 1 month.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah.
Right. So, but that is one thing to consider. I've seen a lot of annuities sold that I don't agree that they should have had them. An annuity is something that when I sell it, we have field supervision. I know you guys have a lot of regulation. Boy, we've got at least the same amount. It's a lot of regulation, and it's good for the client. It's there to protect the client. But I sell an annuity, I have to explain to field supervision why it makes sense, period. So you have to make sure that you're getting good advice before you get into something like that, because it's a contract. You know what I mean? It's a done deal. Okay.
Is that something we could match up with you?
Mhm.
Like when we're going on appointments?
Yeah. So if
Go with
you have folks that, you know, they have some assets and they, you know, are selling that home and going into the nursing home or whatever the situation is, that is a possibility that they take some of the proceeds from that and insure part of their income. Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah. What other questions have come up while I've been yapping?
This
Anything else?
might be a silly one. You said 1099, we're not gonna get it, if I understood it right. Our social security payout's not gonna be as high, 1099.
No, you'll qualify for Social Security. The Social Security payout, the change that happened, you guys heard of the Social Security Fairness Act? President Biden signed it January 5th. That removed the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset, which made teachers and government workers' Social Security awful. It's the best thing that's happened to teachers. If you have a teacher in your life and they don't know about this, they gotta know about it, because it changes everything in terms of their calculations for retirement. Up until, especially in Missouri, where we have PSRS, that's a really, really good pension program. But most teachers, if you ask them about their retirement, they go, "Oh, I have PSRS." Well, how much are you going to spend per month? Well, I don't know, PSRS. Okay, well, we got to talk, you know what I mean? So it changes when they can retire, but that doesn't affect 1099, because you're paying your self-employment tax, and boy, are you paying it, right? You know, you guys probably have to have good saving solutions to pay your taxes, right? That's where another money market opportunity comes in, is to sock that money away in a safe place, but make, 4.14 or whatever on it. Okay. Great question. So as you are going through, yeah, please.
Investors and things like that, that have rentals,
Mhm.
something we should talk to them about, set up with you on that, like for their property taxes and things like that?
That is, I mean, it's possible. Like I said, I've got a client with a property management business that is making good money off the money that just sits there as a part of that business. So it, you know, it's kind of cool. Every situation's different, you know what I mean? And for some people, when we do this, and I can do this for any of you guys that want it. We do an appointment in a program called Money Guide. And Money Guide is one of the reasons Jones continues to like sort of dominate is we take the numbers for all your assets, take the numbers for all your liabilities, whether they're held at Jones or anywhere, it doesn't matter. We just put in the numbers. And then we come up with your retirement plan. And when we set that, it's not, I would like to travel. It's, I want to travel starting on this year. I want to do it every other year. It's going to cost this much in today's dollars. We're going to assume 4% inflation. It's going to stop on this year when I think my knees are going to give out and I'm not going to want to get on a plane. You know what I mean? It's really, really specific. You get two things from this report that are pretty cool. One of them is, it's okay. It's a confidence index. So it takes your plan. It does a Monte Carlo simulation. Does anybody know what a Monte Carlo simulation is? It's a nerd thing. It's an AI simulation where it runs your plan through 1,000 universes. And one of them on this end is not going to be very good. And this one over here is going to be the land of milk and honey. And it's going to tell you how many times out of 1,000 by percentage your plan worked. And that means worked to the dollar. You never missed a goal. Okay. That is a pretty cool thing to have. Boy, we're all so busy, aren't we? That's a pretty cool thing to have. But I think the coolest thing is called this combined details report. So let's say we get you set up. You got good goals. You got good accounts. You know what I mean? We're in great shape, right? And it will tell you year by year, given two assumptions, it'll tell you what's going to happen. We'll have an assumption for the average market return, which you're not going to get every year. You get more some years and less some years. And we'll have a assumption for inflation. Okay. So it's the best way to estimate it. There's only so much you can do. So between the confidence index giving you the bad and the good, and then this combined details report, it'll show you if you have a goal to help your kids with college and you don't have a 529 and all you have is IRAs and everything's retirement accounts, it'll show you at a massive tax penalty because you were pulling money to pay for kids' school when you weren't 59 and a half yet, right? It will show you if you've got a goal for a car before retirement that there's massive tax penalties because you need a different vehicle for that, or a different, saving vehicle count, right? So that Money Guide deal, if you have a client that is, you get signals, right? You get signals from people, buy signals and leave me alone signals and all that kind of stuff, right? You get a signal from somebody that they're really worried when they're talking about their proceeds because they're trying to make something work or something like that. This is a thing that any Jones advisor can do that will give them data, and it's free. It literally doesn't cost a thing. It's cool, By the time you sit down and you crunch all those numbers, I've never had anybody that didn't want to work on improving their situation. And so it all works out for Jones, but somebody could come in, get that information and say, cool, I want to think about it. Thanks. And that's okay too, So as you guys are dealing with clients that are concerned, scared, they're giving you those signals, that's one thing you could refer them out for, right? People love referrals. Yeah, they love when I met this person, I think they're pretty all right. Give them a call, that's how a lot of where your business comes from, right? So that's one of the things you can do. If somebody is like going into retirement and they don't have a plan, it's probably too late, but we can do as much damage control as we can, right? Yeah. And for some people, they walk in and they're like, oh my God, I'm in such bad shape. And then you're like, oh, you've got like a 83% chance of success and you're going to have $2 million left in your account when you pass away. Let's talk about your estate. And they're like, what? Right? And then, sorry, that's my Scooby-Doo thing. Sorry, I'm weird, guys. Then there's people that'll say, I have 8 cents saved up. I want a new Miata every 30 minutes for the rest of my life. And then they're like super weirded out that it was a 0% confidence index, right? And and everything in between. So it's about the planning and about the information. So the younger folks get started, it's going to go better. Time horizon and the power of, compounding interest, obviously it makes such a huge difference, right? What other questions have come up while I've been jabbering? So a high yield savings is a pretty bow that a bank puts on something so that they can take your money and pay you 2 point something, and then they'll make 4 point whatever on it. But you also have faster access to it as well. That's the thing, is you can just pull cash, and that's because you're not really invested in one of the money markets. They are, right? There you go. Yep, there's a couple of exceptions for sure, always. There's an exception to everything. Yeah. There's no dumb question.
About buying gold. Is that better to not and
So a lot of that is, I think, a sales tactic and kind of a fear-mongering thing. Right. How many ounces do you have? You know what I mean? So it makes a difference in terms of something really stable. If you look at the long term on that, it is possible to have some gold and precious metal mutual funds, that kind of thing. There's ways to do it as part. Gosh, well, if we, I'm not a prepper because that like gives weird vibes, but I mean, I do feel like I should be able to feed my family for a month. I don't know. You know what I mean? It just seems like a reasonable thing to do. And, there's folks that will sort of hoard gold for bartering when everything goes bonkers or whatever. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, if you think the world's going to go bonkers, then yeah, probably go for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But generally speaking, it's kind of a thing that we would discourage people to do to make sure you're keeping up with inflation or more, right? And again, it's all about time, because if I've got 15 years before we're taking distributions from something, I don't care about the 2 dips that are going to happen before that. I care about the trend line, right?
Always heard silver, because like if I'm gonna barter, here can I have that loaf of bread, here's $3,000 worth of gold. Versus a silver, you can just do a silver quarter or whatever, something like that.
We shave off some for you. Yeah, yeah,
Barter with gold, here's $3,000.
yeah. And if
for your
you're worried about bartering, then probably not investing for the future. You know what I mean? So did you?
Where do you sell?
I have no idea.
No jewelry.
Pawn shops.
Dad had like,
Like, no,
I've never opened it. I don't know.
at least Mr. No did, but I don't know if they do now.
What?
No's jewelry, they did, like, they'll do like silver.
and gold.
At
So
least
like
Mr.
a
No
big
did.
box that, I don't know what's in it. I've never
Probably.
opened it, but it's like, he had a bear.
Take it to
Like
another.
treasure.
My grandma grew up in the Depression. This is a woman that would dry out the paper towels and use them again. You know what I mean? And so what we're part of right now is an interesting thing for realtors is we are part of what's called the Great Wealth Migration right now. Okay. As our baby boomers and other folks on the fringes of that are passing away at faster rates, they are leaving estate to multiple kids. And, those kids are going and upgrading their home, right? They're going and opening accounts. They're getting the money transferred in, getting it invested, whatever, right? That's the thing that's going on right now. And I don't know if do you guys ever talk about that? The great sort of wealth movement that's happening right now. I would think that's going to affect you in ways that are going to feel like popcorn. Something just pops up. Somebody that you sold a home to got an inheritance. We just need to move into a bigger home or whatever, that stuff's probably going to pop up as you go. So answer is, if I had a giant block of silver, I'd be asking one of my friends, I'd be looking for a referral. And
I just text her.
And it's probably one of those things where I want to pay for an estimate, an appraisal.
After it's appraisal,
Yeah.
they'll talk about,
Essentially what you've got there though, gold and silver, is just another investment vehicle.
Mhm.
What he's saying is, maybe making 2% on that. So you've got money over there, maybe you're making whatever, but there are other vehicles, 10%, 12%. But if you cash that in, start making zero, and you go for dinner on it, right, it's gone. So right now. if
Well, that's true. I guess I
10,000,
can't
it's just
reinvest it
hanging out.
because you can only do so much per year.
Well, it depends on your situation. You can do 7,000 into an IRA or 8 if you're over 50, but you can also do taxable accounts. You can also do that solo 401k. There's all sorts of cool stuff you can do. Yeah. Yep.
That's how they put it in the money market. Do it over here.
Or I just leave it alone. And, look.
And you can think of it as a
Nap in your mouth.
Oh, yeah, I'm like,
and you can think of it as a form of diversification, right? So I forgot. You answered a question about gosh, what was it, Roth, or what did you answer a question about, right? Next question. For a pair of white sunglasses, it probably costs 30 cents. If you are invested in one company, is that a good idea, bad idea? What do you think? Why? Yeah, what company, right? Well, why is that a bad idea?
Because then everything plays.
So what do I care, right?
They go bankrupt.
Diversification, right? Booyah. There you go, buddy. Oh, so if you don't have diversification in your portfolio, you're going to have trouble of some kind, right? We want investments that grow so that you're growing past inflation, okay? Which is harder sometimes than other times, right? But there's a large cap mutual fund, meaning a big publicly traded company, right? That I really love. I would describe it as a juggernaut. Okay. I mean, it's just a great fund to be in. Huge capital appreciation, right? If that sucker can make 12%, I mean, the last couple of years, the S&P 500 in 23 and 24, 20%. I mean, crazy growth, right? A lot of that was due to the Magnificent Seven, and it turned out that ended up being problematic when we had Liberation Day and announced tariffs, right? But if I can invest in that, why would I ever have a fixed income investment that only makes 5%, 6%? Why would I do that? Yes. Okay. Remember, market's going to do this. The market's going to market, period. It's that trend line we're worried about. And during those leaner times, having those fixed income investments can continue your growth, protect some of your money, and if you have to take some distributions during a bad time, sometimes those fixed income ones are good because they're not on sale, right? You can cash out on some of that and use that to live because we want to buy low and sell high, right? Obviously. Well, speaking of Liberation Day and tariffs, right? Market dropped what, 12% in 3 days? Something like that, Thursday, Friday, Monday. Okay. Yeah. My client base was calling me. Do you know what they were calling me for? Yeah. I have one client that was, yeah. And that's the thing. I'm a former teacher. So, I mean, I talk to people about like, hey man, when it goes down, we're not going to freak, right? If we still have 15 years or 7 years or whatever, we're not going to make a temporary problem permanent, right? And I had some people that or one person that wanted to talk to them a little bit about it. Okay, we're cool. Vast majority of them, hey man, I got $3,000, I got $4,000, whatever. I personally put almost $4,000 into my kids' 529s, and that stuff is up 24.0 something% right now. You know what I mean? So there's a certain amount of opportunity that comes along with that, right? But with the ups and downs, you want to be diversified Otherwise, why would we do anything than just an S&P 500 like ETF, right? Why would we do anything else? Well, because we want to decrease the amplitude of our portfolio. We don't want huge swings, right? We want it to continue growing more steadily.
Like up here, and the, gold and silver were like the top, you gotta fill up the bottom with your mutual funds, your retirement accounts, all that stuff, and then whenever you fill all that stuff up, you have a little triangle at the top for gold and.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with having a little bit of, precious metals or even a mutual fund that's backed by precious metals, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you got to understand what you're dealing with. We want a big growth from companies that instead of paying out dividends, want to reinvest in that company and have the stock be worth more and more and more and more, right? That's one kind of investment. And it just depends on what kind of account you're in and what you want to do with the money. So let's say you had a son that you did like, you know what I mean? And you're like, okay, when this, when my time here is finished, or as we call it in Money Guide, it's the end of analysis. I thought that was very euphemistic, right? So at your end of analysis, you want to leave something for kids, right? Maybe you set up a trust. Or in certain cases, maybe you have a traditional IRA where you're going to be paying income tax on that money, and you have, say you had a taxable account and you've got capital gains that you're going to have to pay, big capital gains. You've owned stocks for 20 years. I have a client that their dad bought them stocks when they were a baby, right? And they've got probably 200K now in those stocks that were gifted. The capital appreciation is like 90%. You know what I mean? Like it was very cheap 35 years ago, right? So they have huge capital gains they would have to pay, but they also want to donate to a cause that benefits them. The Drum and Bugle Corps that I was talking about, actually, we were associated through that. So they want to give to the Corps. Well, when they pass that money on, they get a reset on the capital gains. They get a step up. So when they invest some money, the capital appreciation is zero. It just is worth what it's worth. They could sell it right that second. There's no capital gains tax on it. Or if you inherit an IRA, you are getting a step up on the cost basis. So it's a lot of information, but I feel like you guys are kind of nibbling around these things. So I want to make sure you get that if it's helpful to you. So again, there's lots of different situations. There's lots of different uses for these accounts. It just depends on what it's for, where it came from, how long it's been cooking, and all that. You guys ask great questions. What other questions do you have? Awesome. What time is it? We've got an hour in here. Did I give you guys the Reliance rate stuff? Yeah. Yeah. And then we talked about commission manager. And that's it for like the prepared things. If you guys have questions, I'm all yours for another half hour or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm happy to do it. And if you have any interest in doing that Money Guide meeting, right, and getting that data, I'm all about it. You know what I mean? It's like showing somebody a house, right? It's just an opportunity to have a relationship and see if there's something that works out for you. It's all good. Here, sign this now. No, this is a deal where it's just, and you would send statements through a secure portal. You guys have the same stuff, e-sign and all that. I mean, we do all that as well. So people try to email me their everything constantly. And it's like, oh, question for you. Can you guys just flat text with people about business?
Yeah.
I can't. It has to all be on recorded channels. It has to be recorded. Any of my communication has to be. So I can do text, but it's like my office number. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. But it's a constant flow of people like, hey, what's the rate on CDs today? I'll call you. Go on and report the text and send a picture of the text. And you know what I mean? It's just, oh yeah, every time. Somebody texts me, I have to report it. Yeah.
When did they do that?
That's been for a while. Almost so many firms have gotten sued by the SEC for it's called off-channel communication, that the regulations they're cumbersome Yeah, they're pretty cumbersome. What other questions do you guys have? I'm all ears. So I got cards for everybody. So my office is at like in Independence at like 40 and 291. That's southwest corner where diagnostic imaging is, right? And the the thing is though, I'm licensed in 18 states or something like that. And so I do the vast majority. This is kind of weird. And yeah, I wonder what you guys think about this as realtors. I do the vast majority of my business over Zoom, and I'm not asking them to. I mean, I've got lots of clients from out of state, right? So that's Zoom is the thing. But even my local clients, the vast majority of them are like, no, man, can we just do a Zoom? Sure. You know, it's no stress. Well,
First met him after the first showing, everything was like that, they didn't take any answer calls.
Man, I texted you like 5 times, I'm sorry.
okay. Well, and there's a line where it becomes business, and then there's a line where it's like setting up an appointment. Like
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good deal.
yeah.
I was
You're
like,
like,
man, I'm sorry. man.
no. You got to understand. That's just, and the SEC has figured out that they can millions, tens of millions of dollars in fines against these broker dealers and financial advisor agents, and they're going to keep doing it.
But law, right, good thing.
I deal with, part of the financial advisor thing is learning about the different kinds of fraud. And there's some really sad fraud, and we watch, and we have people and electronic monitoring that really watch for things that are unusual. I get a wire anytime money's moved around. I call a client. I just saw you had $1,200 come out of this account. You haven't pulled money out of it for 3 years. I just want to make sure that that you did it. It's just unusual. It's your money. Take it when you want, but just want to make sure that unusual transaction, because I don't have this horror story yet, knock on Formica, but there are lots and lots of advisors with older clients that have been taken by romance scams. My boyfriend in Uruguay needs a Brazilian butt lift or whatever, and you know what I mean? Like, there's this. Okay, let's talk, Fran. You know what I mean? Like, let's make sure we're being real here. So it's yeah.
Wire fraud.
Oh gosh, yeah.
What was that, like $600,000 was last year? Somebody got scammed out of like 600 grand.
Oh, that's the other thing too, is that I'm starting to get realtors that are asking me about passing wires through Jones for transactions. And I kind of was like, why? You know what I mean? Why would you do that? And the idea was that I know that there's somebody there, and there's 90 acres of nerds in St. Louis, that if there's a problem, I can talk to somebody right the heck now and we can figure it out. So that's not a thing I've done yet, but I've had now 2 people ask me about doing that. So I will probably look into that. And if you've been wanting to do something like that, wouldn't be hard. What is it? Cashier's check? Yeah. And you got to do what's in their best interest. So I'm not sure I don't know. I don't know what the impetus is behind that. I don't necessarily get it. You know what I mean?
Copel title, just sent here, put your deposit down here.
Perfect.
You can call the number on the thing and say, oh yeah,
And it
we've got your
sounds like-
file, go ahead and send it up. A wire on over and it's gone.
Oh my gosh.
But how they get a hold of it.
Like, just get their email and send it to them. And yeah, that's bonkers.
I don't know. I always tell everyone, just call me.
Well, I don't want to waste anybody's time, but I'm here. So the official deal is over probably, right? But
Thanks for coming out, man.
oh yeah, I'm happy to be helpful, and even if you don't, keep my card or put me in your phone or whatever. And even if you just have a question about something, if you're working with another financial advisor and you want like a second opinion or something, that's fine too, But thanks for having me. You guys are awesome. You allowed me to tell dumb jokes and sort of laughed, and I felt pretty good about that, Well, I'm here for questions, so what else? Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, for sure.
Studying
Good deal. Yeah.
my SIE book.
Do you know when you get hired at Jones, they send you they send you a computer and a bunch of books, and they say your tests on this day, and here's how many chapters you should do and tests you should do, and here's the full-length practice tests, and if you fail, you're fired.
Yeah.
You're just gone. Bye.
On
Yeah.
your securities exams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time
Those are
you,
hard.
by the time you do the thing, it's pass or die, you know what I mean? And but that's why when you work with a financial advisor, they tend to be nerds like me that, you know, kind of understand the complex thing. So it's a good thing. It's just hard when you're standing there, you're like, oh God. Yeah. You know how many
I was
people?
sick, but failed to see, it was too much reading on the 63.
Yeah. And I did SIE, then Series 7 top off, and then 66. So yeah. And then all the insurance licensing stuff, which was funny to me because the insurance tests were like bonkers easy
Oh, yeah.
compared to the security stuff. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is all that it just, but then I knew people that had trouble with the insurance tests. I'm like, your brain doesn't work.
So.
It is dry and it's different state to state, right? And you've got to, yeah.
I did one while. It was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took my wife back some help. I was 18 or 19. Failed the first time because I'm like, the heck is any of this stuff mean? Again, not a great reader. But I take it a second time because I took a class. I didn't take a class the first time. So it's easy. I'm like, okay, went in there, just tried it. No, definitely
Joe.
take a class.
Do you know the new BNI chapter that's starting in Blue Springs? Did you ask, do they have a realtor in that chapter? Is it? Yeah, because they've got like 6, 7 folks, I think 6, 7. Your kids say that? 6, 7. Yeah. See you, buddy. Absolutely. And then-
Joe's contact too, so.
Yep.
Joe hooked me up with Ken, so.
We're in the presence of greatness. You know? And then Marcia, did you want to set up a time? Yeah. So. I'll come back there and sit with you, and I got to get a little bit of information, but no, you're good.
Now I was gonna text him some questions.
Marcia, stop texting me, right? You're more than welcome. Thank you. Oh. You got to have a nerd, you know.
Yep. Get the bill, huh?
Yeah, yeah. For a lot of years, it was a bad thing, right? I play in marching band. Nah, the drum line was cool though. That was an all right place to
It was
be.
a band until we had to be in marching band,
Yeah,
and
now
that was
I'm out.
no fun.
It's a lot of
That is
time.
No fun, and it's tough. I played the saxophone for whatever 6 or 7 years, and the whole keeping that in your mouth without busting your tooth and just the whole bit. I just
Yeah.
uncoordinated,
Yeah. well,
and yeah,
So let's
too cool for that.
see.
Okay, my wife did orchestra.
Do what?
My wife did orchestra.
Oh,
So
she's
we
next
still
level.
still have her viola sitting in her closet, so.
Nice.
Had a buddy who ran an orchestra program, and he printed these shirts that said Dorchestra, and the orchestra kids were like, they were so hyped, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm all booked up next week. looking at August. Let's see here. I got time. That day's pretty messed up. Let's see here. I could do like a 1:30 on Tuesday the 5th. I could do,
Right there.
that would work?
Yep.
Okay, so
Zoom.
yeah, we can. 1:30 Tuesday, August 5th. Marcia, is that your legal first name?
Yes.
Which last name?
Let's see.
And have your mobile on here? Yeah. And have your email, it's fine. What's your date of birth? So, and I'm gonna email you at marshmckenna@kw.com. So I'm gonna email you a couple of things. One of them is gonna be that secure document portal for sending your stuff. One of them will be a form email, and it'll have the day, and it'll say Zoom. You know, the link will come separately as a Zoom link. That email will have three things that are important to you. One of them is a list of documents that would be just to jog your memory, and, you know, do I have this? Do we have one of these? That kind of thing. So
Okay.
documents you want to send. And below that, there's two little surveys. They're super fast. One of them is a risk tolerance 6-question deal, and one of them is a priorities quiz. And that's one of those ones where it's like, which one's more important? Which one's more important? Which one? You just don't overthink it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So I'll email all that to you and in the Zoom link.
Okay.
And we got time for you to get the statements together. If you don't get everything in, that's okay. If you get the vast majority of it, what I'll do is I'll sit and do the dumb data entry and some of the figuring and everything before.
Okay.
So when you come in, or when you get on Zoom, we'll just real quick verify things are right and then start in on your goals,
Okay.
you know?
Okay.
So be thinking about what's most important to you for retirement, because for some folks, travel is like, can't do without it. Would rather live in a little nothing home and, you know, travel all over the world. For some people, it's paying for their kids, you know, college, or having a nest egg for their kids, or, you know, weddings for their kids, or some people are nuts about cars, boats, air, you know, whatever. So just think about what things are important to you, because you're the only one that matters, right? And then, are you married?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So it'll be just, we'll be able to plan just you and I.
Just me,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's perfect.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
I'll get you some email.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I will gather my statements. I don't have anything with that for retirement. I don't have anything. I do have some good things going, some assets and stuff like that.
That's
but I don't
awesome.
have anything.
Well, that's the cool thing about realtors, is that oftentimes do have true diversity in terms of their diversification in terms of investments, because they'll own some real estate, they'll own, you know, other things that having that ability. Yeah, well, that's not for nothing,
Yeah. it's
because
at least
you've gotten
that-
a return on it, or if you haven't realized it yet, you will,
Yes.
you know, so.
Yes,
Yeah.
So do have that, but I need to, over the years, I never stopped long enough, and I've always been self-employed, so I've never been in a position where that's automatic 401k contributions and things like that.
Seriously, that's a big freaking
It's a big
deal.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying- Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
These things are happening.
Oh, wow.
Rest my ducks in order, but not the major thing at the end.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shoot.
Well, and I'm 47, and I was a teacher for a lot of years. And so I've got PSRS, and it's one of those things that it's a really good pension, because teachers put away 14.5%,
Oh, wow.
and then the
okay.
state matches it.
Oh, wow.
So it's a healthy pension fund, and you don't get vested till you're after 5 years. Well, a lot of teachers don't make it to 5 years. So
Oh,
the state they get their contributions and their interest, but they don't get that state match that stays with the pension.
okay. Wow.
Wild, right?
Wow, yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons why it's really helpful. It's a healthy pension fund. But the problem is that most teachers, you talk to them, what's your retirement plan? Oh, PSRS. That's 4 letters. We need to talk, you know what I mean? Because if you live extravagantly, that ain't gonna cut it. Or if you don't know how you're gonna live, you don't know if it's gonna cut it or not, you know, and so you just wanna be sure.
So that's actually another one that I was gonna set up with you, because my wife is actually a professor at Reese,
Awesome.
so.
Yeah.
And she was actually thankfully grandfathered in because she worked for the state in 1911.
Oh,
So it's a whole different system for her.
that's cool. And she got grandfathered into not PSRS, but peers?
The original, the system back in 2011
Okay.
that was there. So from everything we've got, it's her highest 3 years of earnings
Mhm.
averaged at
Mhm.
80%
Pension.
after.
Yep.
The true pension side of it really changed at all.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good deal. So did you guys want to meet? Is that what you're?
I would love to.
Awesome.
I didn't know about the Social Security part for her.
Oh my gosh. So it's a game changer.
Yeah.
So imagine this, right? So let's say,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
I
It was
can't
nice to meet you,
see
Marcia.
Can't.
That's
Good to
okay.
see you, Steve.
So
We're
imagine
separate.
this.
Okay.
You retire because they can retire at an earlier age than most people.
She can do 62
Wow.
at 40.
Okay. So did she work Social Security wages before?
Yes.
Does she have 40 quarters of Social Security work? And it's okay not to know. That can be checked on SSI.gov.
That I don't know,
Yeah.
because the irony is, well, I mean, I get maybe. Well, I don't know. That'd be something we'd have to look into.